Hello and welcome to this Africa Travel Week Masterclass on how to attract the promising China source market for Africa. China presents itself as a key source market to tourism in Africa and a contributing factor to its growth over the last few years. As the demand is evident, we delve into a further understanding of the Chinese tourist, the expectations of this important source market to Africa, and we look forward to reigniting travel to the continent. Joining me today to do this, all the way from Shanghai, is Dr. Marcus Lee, CEO of China Travel Online and a leading figure in China outbound travel market. For those of you unfamiliar with China Travel Online, it is one of the largest B2B portals that focuses in China outbound travel. Marcus is also the chairman of China SME Business Owners Association, which is a group comprising several companies in digital technology and MICE engaged in investment and tourism out of China, and with a presence across 15 cities in China and Asia, supporting tourism authorities from around the world. We are extremely privileged to have you share the opportunities for Africa during and post-COVID today, Marcus. I'd like to hand over to you now just to share some of those key insights, and then we can have a discussion about the great potential that the source market has for Africa. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Natalia. It's good to see you again. And good afternoon to all the delegates from around the world, especially from Africa. My name is Marcus Lee, the CEO of China Travel Online and the chair of the SME Business Owners Associations. As Natalia mentioned, my firm started as just a forum with a few hundred companies in 2002, focusing on China outbound investment. And in the past 19 years, we have grew to become an 11,000 corporate members SME Business Owners Association. For those who are interested, you can check out the website, chinainvest.net. On the left, CEO Asia represents two of our MICE company. CBISN Exhibition owns 6 large-scale exhibitions that could attract thousands to tens of thousands of visitors to your destinations. On a smaller scale, we run CEO Asia Business Travel and Exhibitions, which is focused in incentive, seminar, and conferences. Now, on the bottom, Digital China is own proprietary technology in virtual roadshow, online exhibition, and e-learning. Very popular right now because everyone's going to digital. And on the right is Welcome China. It's one of the largest tourism marketing agency with 9 offices in China. One of our flagship program called China Reigniting is recognized by UnionPay, which is the world's largest credit card, more than Visa and Master. Lastly, I want to introduce China Travel Online is a B2B outbound travel portal that focuses 100% on outbound. So we cover about 80% of outbound tour operators. And the database updated April 2021 because we are the promoter of WTM Africa in China. And out of this number, 35,000 are corporate organizers. That means MICE, and 74,000 are travel professionals. Today, I'm going to share about 4 main topics. What is more interesting is what is happening in China, the market. What about the economy? Is this driving? Or what happened to the numbers of travelers? What happened to domestic and international? Is it recovery? Things like that. So this is the first point I'd like to share. Let's look at the overall picture. For those who are less familiar with Chinese market, we are the world's largest source market since 2012. And the data in 2019 record 169 million Chinese travel overseas. This is not just about the number, but also China, the other top spenders with 255 billion in 2019, according to UNWTO. To put this into a little bit of perspective, Chinese spend about is double of American, 3 times of German, 4 times of British, like exit of the chart on the right. Right now, let's flip to the next picture, is to understand where is Chinese economy today. Chinese economy is back to powering ahead after the brief derailment during COVID-19. So according to the latest statistic of the China National Bureau of Statistics in 2021, Q1 have a stunning 18% GDP growth with investment growth of 25%, import-export 29%, and services No doubt, this is a success of recovery since last year. And this is a fast expansion in 3 decades. For those who are watching live, what may interest you is the logo on the right. That's right, Beijing 2022. This could give you a hint when China may reopen. So Beijing is, Chinese government is hosting the Beijing 2022 Winter Olympics and the Paralympics in March. But of course, with the latest information, please check with the Chinese official on the reopening date. Now, let's talk about the numbers. Those who attended the WTM Africa in April will notice that I share 600 million Chinese travel last year during October, the Golden Week, with a significant of 70 billion spent. Most of them are younger generations, 52 to 48 male to female ratio. Fast forward to last month, when we have the labor holiday in May, 230 Chinese travel internally, domestically. But you say, hey, Marcus, we want to hear about international, that's not just domestic. That's right, but hear me out. What I want to explain to you, look at the statistic, is what happened to China right now, even like last month in May holiday, is higher than 2019. So what does it mean? It means that travel numbers tops pre-pandemic level. If you look at the 4 sector or 4 chart below, flight booking up 100%. Attraction like museum tickets up 100%. We are moving from groups to FIT and private tours, which is up 100%. And hotel booking is up 100%. Let's take a look at the photo. Maybe this will give you some visualizations. This is how Great Wall looks like in 2020, October. See a lot of people wearing masks. In the next picture, I'm going to show you what happened to 2021. This picture is taken last month. You can tell me the difference. This is 2021. Wow, the number is still a lot, but pay attention, what is the difference? We're going coming back to that soon. The second point I want to talk about is what are the opportunities for African continent, for African countries, to attract Chinese tourists in terms of what are the statistics, what are the records? Are they doing well? What are among the countries doing well? And what are the key factors to attract Chinese? Let's take a look. I want to talk about 5 points in terms of the China-African tourism opportunities. 1 is group travel. 2nd, FIT. 3rd is luxury travel. Number 4 is very interesting, seasonality. So because you may be used to take care of tourists from America and Europe on certain months. But if you're understanding, Chinese are quite predictable in the time that we travel. For example, you see a Chinese migration in Chinese New Year, for example, and the Golden Week holiday. And what do we like? And point number 5 will bring your attention, which is wildlife, nature, and some other attraction, like, for example, some attraction that you promote in some certain countries. Try not to oversell it. Now, let's talk about the faster growing source market. This may give you some confidence where Chinese go. Remember, the more you promote, the more you attract Chinese. This is just one of the reasons. But after all, you need to understand what is appealing in your destination. Number 1, I want to share with you is, for example, Egypt attracted 500,000, 500,000 Chinese in 2019. Morocco did well, 200,000. They increased about 368% in the first year. The first 6 months, they eased the visa. South Africa averaging 100,000. Kenya number keep increasing at 84,000. And Zimbabwe increased 100% in 2019 to reach about 22,000. Now let's talk about the key factors to attract Chinese. I categorize that into 3 factors. Number 1, connectivity. Who own the sky, own the market. Number 2, China ready. Is your destination China friendly, China ready? We're going to talk more about that during dialogue with Natalia. Number 3, promotion. That means trying to create awareness. Is your country or destination in the currently in Chinese tourist map, or do they know about your destination? Number of Chinese visit to African countries still relatively low, below 2% in total outbound, but still in millions. Let's talk about it more. These are some of the countries that successfully have an increase on Chinese arrival. Aside of the 5 countries we mentioned just now, that other countries include, for example, Mauritius, Namibia, Tunisia, Tanzania, Botswana, Rwanda, etc. The third point and the last point I want to share in my presentation is one of the most important points, answering some of the key questions and some confusing questions I need to clarify. For example, is China currently open? Is China recovered yet? Can Chinese travel out? Those are some of the key questions. What are the factors deterring Chinese from travel, and how they choose destination? We will find out here. First of all, China is not opening its border for outbound travel yet, as of today. So international travel is not geared up or resumed yet. But what is very convincing, if you look at the number on the left, that's right, you saw 700 million. What is that? This is the number that Chinese been vaccinated as of yesterday, June 3rd. So what happened is China have vaccinated double of America. Sounds like a contest or competition who vaccinated the quickest and faster and open to outbound tourism. Let's talk about factors that are deterring Chinese from travel. And is Chinese wanted to travel? So 60% say, yes, we're going to travel. But what may stop them from traveling include, of course, number one concern is safety, health, spread of virus, income, discrimination, etc. So, and how we travel? Previously, we traveled in group. Now, trend have changed to FIT, customized, smaller group. And in terms of products, aside from island, culture, food, family tour, outdoor activities and adventures, clean air, nature, shopping, those are among the preferred products. And what is the factor affecting decision to travel? Actually, tourism board, destination play a big role. Actually, number 2 in the overall ranking and influence, about 41%. But the good news is Chinese tend to travel now even longer in terms of period, here averaging 6 to 8 days, but to Africa, even longer. We're going to talk about it later. Reopening preparation. I only have one tips to share with you. It's the timing. It's very important. Too early, not good. Too late, not good. The new Chinese Traveler 2021 updates, if you look on the right, you'll find some very interesting new ideas of emerging vacation ideas. For example, safety destination. When you think about Chinese is a bit more conservative in general. So I don't think they will travel before everyone got vaccinated. So safety first destination, how safe? This is something that you need to convey the message to Chinese. Number 2, luxury hotels as destination. That's also a very new idea. Number 3, wildlife and nature, drone photography, gourmet private group, outdoor hiking, paragliding, hot air ballooning, diving and self-driving, less crowded places, health and wellness. Seems pretty healthy options we have there on the right. But now I want to explain to you whatever marketing strategy or your database that you kept until 2019 may not work. So you need to have a renewed understanding of Chinese market, how we travel, younger generations targeting, moving to FIT. FIT and tailor-made will restart first, then followed by the traditional group. I know some people cling on the traditional group. It's about time to diversify. You're going to expect very fierce competition, about 100 million. So how to win? So that is the last point I want to share. And this point I want to share with Natalia through dialogue. But just in case you have any question, you can send us an email or look at the website. Now, I share the screen back to Natalia. Thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful insights. And I'm very, very curious to learn more about the small group and FIT trend that you're seeing at the moment, because we do have this perception in the African market that it's, the Chinese are known for enjoying these group tours. You said that this trend is going to change. You said it's focused on small groups and FITs. What do you see as that FIT market for future travel out of China into Africa?
You see, when you see Chinese, you see someone holding a flag and moving in big group. Right now is because of one of the main point I mentioned just now, safety concern, distancing. That's why the group become smaller. But in terms of FIT, let me explain. This is actually not starting this year. It started about 2018, 2019. So Chinese was shifting. We also have a demographic shift, shifting to that directions. And evidence in 2020 and 2021 Chinese domestic group, you see more FIT traveling. So when there's more FIT traveling, think about the suppliers, then think about the destination. Are they equipped to provide the service for this FIT clienteles?
You spoke about China ready a little bit earlier, and being China ready. And again, based on these new needs from the smaller group FIT market, how do you feel that we can best prepare and be China ready, as well as market Africa to the 60% of Chinese that say they're ready to travel, they want to come?
Before answering this question, I think it's important to answer the question, why Chinese? Because I realized that in April, during WTM Africa in April, I talked to some tourist board, city tourism board. They actually think we don't need Chinese. We can keep with the traditional market or European or American. I said, what? I said, okay. I think how this might, whatever you attract, you get whatever you attract. Is that correct? So understand why we want to attract the Chinese market. That's the first thing we need to clear our mind. Because as I mentioned, currently, for the tourists traveling around the world, if you see 10 tourists, one is Chinese, and the market is growing. The second point I want to make is currently only about 10% of Chinese own a passport of 1.4 billion people. So you calculate, you do the maths. That's why we have 169 million, and the potential is not even unlocked yet. But going back to your question about China readiness, so I see some positive move by some countries in Africa, for example, learning Chinese. So that's excellent idea. But China ready is not about just the language. So China ready is how to make Chinese feel welcome, respected, and think about someone who don't speak English or speak your language and wandering around your country. What kind of help do they need? So we talk about from arrival to going to attraction, going to hotel, things like that. The more China ready the destination you are, and the more they are more subscribed to buying your service, for example.
Just out of curiosity, when you look at Africa and African destinations, are there any shining lights in Africa that you can really see are putting a lot of investment and effort into being China ready, really understanding what the needs of the source market are?
Well, I can actually tell you the reverse. I try not to pinpoint a country, actually. So there are countries I go every year in Africa. And then I don't see much changes in terms of China readiness. And they do still receive not small number of Chinese. And they only come to talk to me when their number drop. I say, oh, why? So I explained to all the destinations in Africa, China ready is not something that you build overnight. It's a long-term investment. And it's not a lot of investment. Basically, you have, aside from Chinese speaking staff, maybe you have some signs or understanding what Chinese people are looking for, because after all, we have different culture and custom differences. So understanding Chinese expectation is very important.
You can just unpack a little bit more what those expectations are. Let's just say I am a destination, I am product, I'm very invested in the Chinese market. I've decided that this is a market I want to focus on. What are some of the critical success factors that I need to have as a destination or as a product to be viable and appealing for the Chinese market to meet their expectations?
We can combine the post-COVID situations to answer that question. The number one criteria will be conveying the message of safety destination. That's the most important right now and very timely. Number two is the unique selling point of your attraction. This happens to all the destination around the world. Think about it. If you want to sell beach, for example, to Chinese, think about there are much more destination near China with sun and beach. So you have to have more than that. For us to travel 10 hours, 15 hours from China to Africa, we could fly 4 hours to Thailand with sun and beach. Is that correct? So what is your differentiations in that perspective? And let's look at, again, look at visa simplifications. How easy to fly, connectivity, how easy to fly there, how easy to get a visa. I think in terms of visa, African countries have done a lot, and I see a lot of improvement in that. So that is good. Connectivity is not bad. There is a lot of direct flight now. the reason I mentioned that because Chinese tend to fly to country with direct flights more than some destination I need to transit. That's why major countries in Africa, most of them have direct flight. For example, South Africa have direct flight. Rwanda also started their direct flight in 2019. So some of these countries, I think they are trying their best. But one of the key important factors I want to explain is awareness. We have these preconceptions, which is with Chinese look at Africa as one piece. So if Chinese look at Africa as one piece, then we may mix up where to go, what to go. We think it's all the same. So this is something like the monogamous or monoculture. Those are the things that you need to create awareness. You need to promote and explain to Chinese what is the distinct features of your destinations.
We have to be single-minded as destinations in ensuring the differentiation between the different destinations within Africa, that it's not just one homogenous country or one, lump, essentially. And you were talking about preconceptions. Are there any other preconceptions that the Chinese market has of Africa, as opposed to just being one destination? What else do they think about Africa?
Well, we think about, for example, lack of history. But think about it, Africa is the cradle of human civilizations. So I think this is something that has so much to sell and so much misconception, misunderstanding. And all this need to, if you do more awareness, this could solve some of the problem. Do more promotions through, for example, articles, videos. That will be part of the promotion we can talk about.
You sound like a very passionate supporter of Africa, Marcus. Are you well-traveled in Africa?
I go to Africa every year. And then I was holding a ticket in 2020 to go to Africa. And then I will say, please don't come now until the situation is clear. Yeah.
Well, hopefully we'll get to welcome you soon.
Oh, definitely. Many Chinese are like me. I think right now, about close to under 2% of the total population, total outbound China travel go to Africa, but still very small number. But look at it positively. If you turn around the coin, I think this is a huge potential. It represents huge potential to capture the Chinese market.
So you were talking about promoting Africa and Africa's differentiation, the different countries and what they stand for in the Chinese market. And we in Africa sometimes don't have a good understanding of how to reach this market. What is the media that appeals to them? Is the trade distribution channel still really strong versus direct consumer? Tell us a little bit about how one reaches the message or reaches the Chinese consumer with the message that Africa is this differentiated place.
Well, the way I look at it, there's only two segments. One is FIT and one is B2B. Let's start with B2B. Whatever you have, the database, up to, let's say you go to Africa, sometimes you do roadshow, you see some Chinese, up to 2018, 2019, your database may not be working anymore. Why? Because many companies in China also went bankrupt. Okay, let's say if they don't go bankrupt, I think some of them may have left the company. So almost you have to restart your B2B database. You almost want to restart your China campaign post-COVID. So this is on the B2B side. But thankfully, there is a lot of digital avenue right now. There are only three things that Chinese agents are doing right now. One of the things that is not good is too much video, too much webinar. Many destinations try to promote to China since last year pandemic. Starting from March 2020, the webinar was like 1 hour, and then 1 month or 2 months later become half an hour, and then 2 months later become 10 minutes. Now, if you pay Chinese to attend a webinar, no one will go. So you need to have something different. For example, explore the social media, explore something like a B2B tools like e-learning. Those are something more acceptable, more interactions rather than sit in front of the computer and look at the video. So, and then many people are doing virtual exhibitions right now, virtual roadshow. That's another avenue to do a B2B meeting before Chinese reopening. That is B2B. In terms of FIT segment, I think this is a lot of changes. and something that destination can invest in is answering one question: is your destination and all your suppliers FIT China ready? Yeah.
Okay, that is interesting. We have to keep evolving our marketing to make sure that we're meeting those very quick changing needs from 1 hour to 30 minutes to 10 minutes. This webinar is longer than 10 minutes. So it's a good thing it's reaching Africans.
Yeah.
Okay, so what do you see as some of the challenges for Chinese source market being attracted to Africa? What are some of the obstacles to us attracting more Chinese tourists to our continent?
I will address 3 challenges and also 3 keys to counter it. The first challenges is, I already mentioned, is the awareness. Currently, the awareness is not as high. So I think that is something that we can do. Secondly is about similar products. So if I'm selling beach, you're selling beach, I'm selling safari, you're selling safari. What is your differentiations? Number 3 is to counter some of the negative news, easing of visa, and making Chinese more welcoming. So I think I already mentioned the 3 key factors in my presentation just now. This is to address the challenges.
Yeah, and language being a barrier, you know, I'm trying to think, how do we make it, because it all boils down to communication. It all boils down to making sure the person will only feel welcome if they're understanding what the situation is. And in the absence of us having signage in Chinese and having tourist guides, you know, what can we do as citizens of Africa to make sure that we're communicating effectively with the Chinese market in a language that they understand, that makes them feel comfortable and welcome?
I'm a big fan of Africa, and I go there every year. I think African people are very friendly. So I think as a citizen, I think Chinese and African can get along very well. But this is not just about at the citizen level. This is at the country and destination level to start with. Remember, your image start not from Africa, not when we landed. Your image started in China before we bought the plane. And then the first thing we see after we touch down, guess what? It's your airport. So think about the whole process and think about how we can help you to be more China ready, because our firm launched China ready for 48 countries since 2002. So we do learn from different destinations as well. And we evolve and we upgrade and to make a country more China ready. For example, Zimbabwe increased 100% of Chinese tourists in 2019, and we launched the China Ready program over there. So the question is how much you want to do and what are the input and output.
Absolutely. Your belief in the future potential for the Chinese market for Africa, you mentioned an extremely large proportion of people who are wanting to travel. There is a market which even just a small percentage of that market that is able to travel, it's still a massive source market for Africa. Where do you see the future potential? What does success look like?
Well, there is, first of all, there is a strong growth. Let me share with you what the pre-pandemic statistics. Pre-pandemic, there's about 40% growth in interest to go to Africa. That's number 1. Number 2, the focus is younger generation and family. So when we type in our Google, called Baidu, our own search engine, we search Africa, we search wildlife, nature, we search heritage. And what are the potential? One of the advantage of having Chinese is the seasonality. So when we travel, maybe European American not travel. For example, our Chinese New Year in January, February, and our October holiday, both are at least 1 week long. And remember, when Chinese go to Africa, we spend one of the longest nights there, averaging at 11 to 15 nights. So we are talking about, let's say, minimum a week we are going there. So in terms of hotel nights, think about who is your target clients. Your target client will be the potential of the business will be targeting now, will be focused on younger generation. I mean, those who are born after 1970s, those are born after 80s, comprise of 62%. All right. The older folk is 25% who have all the money and can sit around and do nothing much. Those are 25%. So depending who are your target customer, couples is about 50%, family about 30%, and will be more. And mass market more compared to high value. But the luxury travel or HNWI market is very promising. So to answer your question more further, is I mentioned about the size of the market. Currently, Africa still did not attract a large number of Chinese. So we are talking about under 2% compared to 169 million of total China outbound. So these are the potential that all the destination in Africa can explore. And also think about what you have done before. What is the return on investment compared to what are the new activities you can explore?
Really interesting to speak about that average length of stay and the 7 days. I'm just curious because when we talk about a lot of the source markets that come to Africa, they generally speaking will visit more than one country. And you mentioned Zimbabwe as working really hard from a China ready perspective. To what extent do you see the opportunity for countries working together to introduce a multiple country tour, for example, to the Chinese source market? Would the Chinese source market come to visit one country? Or is there an opportunity for us to make sure that we're sharing the benefits within a region, for example?
Well, absolutely. I think Chinese are more like American in a way that we like to see more in a period of time when we visit Africa. We are not like European who can spend one whole day looking at a bird, taking a picture. We can't do that. Maybe that's exaggeration, but so when Chinese go to Africa, we do want to see more. For example, I have a fantastic story to tell you in Zimbabwe. One time I was in Zimbabwe with about 10 Chinese buyers. So the organizer, they give us 4 things to do in 2.5 days. Guess what happened? Chinese complete everything in 1 day and then come back to the organizer and ask, what else? So that is good news. What is the good news? The good news is we are hungry to do more things. Good for the sellers. And then to answer your question about multi-stops and multi-destination, that is very good idea. That also depends on connectivity and visas collaborations. How easy to do that? For example, I can fly from Shanghai, Beijing, Guangzhou to, let's say, stop in 3 countries or 4 countries in a period of time. We can do that definitely. So this is one way to look at it, to promote the multi-stop. But I do have another perspective to share with you. How to promote Africa as a single destination. All right. If you pay attention to what happened in 2018, there is a big campaign called Europe-China Tourism Year. So combining all the European countries with China, promote the largest campaign in that year, so Euro-China Tourism Year. And then in 2019 is China Pacific Tourism Year. So all the Pacific countries, those beautiful islands like Fiji, Papua New Guinea, Tonga, under one group. So my company was fortunate to be appointed to organize the China Pacific Tourism Year 2019. Cool, I can share with you more. In fact, I shared during the last WTM Africa session with together with Kenya and Rwanda about how we can do a Africa-China tourism year that you can sell as a single destination. And it will be the biggest campaign because a tourism year is a head of state project.
Wow, that sounds absolutely fascinating. Would you mind just giving us a little bit of the insights that as you created this amazing event, can you give us some idea of what worked, what didn't work, what some of the highlights were?
Definitely. Let's compare Europe-China Tourism Year 2018 and China Pacific Year 2019. What are the similarities? First of all, both is a campaign. It's a one-year campaign, one-year activities. And the campaign involved multiple activities throughout the year. For example, number 1, visa simplifications. Number 2, a lot of B2B matchmaking. So they do events inside China and in, let's say, in their own countries. Let's say opening ceremony, closing ceremony, cultural exchange training, China Ready training, for example. And then there is the result is very exciting. For example, before tourism year of China Pacific, there was about 120,000 Chinese visit Pacific Islands. And the success of the China Pacific tourism in 2019, it increased from 120,000 to 200,000 Chinese tourists in 1 year. So that is an increase of more than 80%. So this campaign actually start from, it give Chinese audience to let them know that this is the year of Africa. It's like Chinese announcing that this is the year of Africa. But to do that, you need a few more years preparation. So countries can come together, let's say as a federation or something, to work on this project.
I love that sound. This is the year of Africa. Marcus.
Yeah.
We say to the universe, let's make sure that it happens. It sounds like such an exciting project. My last question for you, and it's something that is based on what you were talking about a little bit earlier. And I look at the Chinese market and I think, yes, I understand nature and wildlife, but the Chinese source market is, at least China has so much heritage. And you mentioned that the Chinese source market is interested in heritage and culture, and I think that is a place that African countries can really differentiate themselves. So I wondered if you wouldn't maybe give me a little bit more insight into that demand for heritage and culture from the Chinese source market. Give us some perspective on that.
Okay. I think China is a country with 5,000 years of history. The only civilization have a continuity. So we do value heritage, history, and culture. So look at Chinese tourists 10 years ago. What they do, they focus in shopping. So now as we evolve and we become more mature as a traveler, so Chinese want to have something more meaningful. So we change from shopper to be experiential travelers, like many other countries. So one of the selling point that I mentioned in Africa, aside from wildlife, nature, is your heritage. You do have something that we don't have. For example, the cradle of human civilization, that's one. The hunt for Lucy, for example, we are looking for. We are just curious, I think, like many others, tourists from around the world. We are curious and we like to learn of different culture and history. So this is the new trend of Chinese, not just shopping. That's why shopping dropped from number 1 to maybe number 9 or number 10 in terms of priority. So now we want to experience more. We want to learn. This will be good for cultural exchange.
Thank you so much for your time today. It's been a great pleasure.
Thank you, Natalia. It's good. Thank you for having me.